The cold stars hung in silence above Earth as the United Human Alliance dreadnought Obsidian drifted in high orbit. The ship was a giant, black metal, sharp edges, armored like a fortress. Inside, every corridor hummed with energy. Crew members moved with focus, their boots echoing softly on metal floors. In the command deck, Captain Lyra Voss stood tall. Her dark uniform was neat, her short auburn hair tied back. Her eyes, sharp and calm, watched the screen ahead. Around her, officers worked at their stations, monitoring signals, adjusting shields, preparing for what might come. Then, without warning, the main screen flashed red. A signal had arrived. Not just any signal, this one came from deep space, directly from the heart of the Tyran Empire. "Captain," said Ensign Rillo, voice tight. "It's them." Lyra gave a slow nod. "Put it through." The screen turned to black. A moment passed, then a face appeared. It was Overlord Catul Threx. He was not human. His skin was a smooth grey-blue, his eyes narrow and shining like cold glass. His armor was silver and marked with the black crest of the Empire. He looked down at them with clear disgust. "This is Overlord Catul Threx of the Tyran Imperial Navy," he said, voice deep and smooth. "By command of the Galactic Empress, Earth is now claimed by the Empire. You have 24 hours to surrender. Your leadership will submit. Your fleets will stand down. Any resistance will be crushed." The bridge fell silent. Catul leaned closer to the screen. "You are small. You are weak. Do not make us waste our fire on your cities. Obey and you may survive." The message ended. The screen faded to static. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Lyra turned. Her voice was clear and steady. "Open a channel to the Alliance Council. Emergency session. Now." The emergency meeting was held in a secure holographic chamber, deep within the Obsidian. Faces flickered into view. Leaders from Earth, Mars, Europa, Titan. Military commanders, scientists and politicians filled the space with anxious whispers. "What do we do?" asked Chancellor May from Earth. "We are outnumbered. We can't match their firepower." "We surrender," said General Tarek, an old war veteran from Mars. "We protect our people. We survive." Lyra stepped forward. "No," she said firmly. "We don't bow, we fight." Some scoffed. Others fell silent. "You saw what happened to other worlds," someone said. "They resisted. They were burned." Lyra looked at every face in the room. Her voice softened, but stayed strong. "Yes, but we are not alone. Not truly. For years we've prepared. In secret. We've built something they don't know about. A fleet hidden near Neptune. Fast, silent, invisible to their scanners. We call it the Black Fleet." The room went quiet. "You want us to rely on a ghost fleet?" one counselor asked. "It's real," Lyra replied. "And it's ready. We built it because we knew this day would come." The silence grew heavier. "If we surrender," she said, "they'll take our freedom. Our people will live under their rule forever. No future, no voice, no choice. But if we fight, we show them who we are. We show them that Earth stands free." A pause. Then slowly heads began to nod. "We'll need time," Lyra said. "Let them think we're scared. Let them prepare for victory. While they wait, we move the Black Fleet into position." The council agreed. The countdown had begun. Back on the Obsidian, Lyra returned to the bridge. "Status?" she asked. "Empire ships moving into outer orbit," said Rillo. "They're watching us, waiting." Lyra nodded. "Let them watch," she said. "They'll see what happens when you push humanity too far." She turned to the stars outside. "They came to break us," she whispered. "They're about to learn we don't break." A quiet hum filled the air in the strategy room aboard the Obsidian. Screens glowed with star charts, ship movements and energy scans. Lyra Voss stood at the center, surrounded by officers and high-ranking commanders connected through secure holograms. The weight of Earth's future hung heavy over everyone. "The Empire's main fleet is holding position just outside lunar orbit," reported Commander Juno from Mars's orbital station. "They're not attacking yet. They're waiting. "They're giving us time to kneel," said Admiral Wren from Earth's Pacific Command. "We won't get another chance like this." The voices around Lyra were tense and tired. Some wanted to give up. Others whispered about evacuating key leaders hiding in the outer colonies. But Lyra stood still, her face calm. She raised her hand and the room quieted. "We knew this day would come," she began. "That's why we made preparations, not just with defenses, not just with shields and diplomacy. We built something they don't know about." She tapped a control panel. A new hologram filled the center of the room. Dozens of sleek black ships appeared, shaped like daggers with wings. They looked nothing like the standard Earth vessels. No bright lights, no visible thrusters. These were ships made for stealth, speed, and silent death. "This," Lyra said, "is the Black Fleet." Murmurs broke out across the room. "You said that was a myth," said General Tarek. "Rumors from Neptune." "It was never a myth," Lyra replied. 5 years ago, we started the Phantom Project. The best engineers from Earth and the colonies were moved off-world, away from prying eyes. Hidden bases were built beneath Neptune's ice moon, Triton. From there we constructed the Black Fleet, using cloaking tech, magnetic silencers and neutron armor. No Empire scan can find them. "And the crews?" asked Chancellor May. "Trained in secret, volunteers only. The best pilots we have. Loyal, ready." Admiral Wren leaned in, voice low. "You're telling me we've had a shadow fleet sitting behind Neptune this whole time, and no one outside this room knew?" Lyra nodded. "That's how it had to be. If even one signal leaked, the Empire would have destroyed it before it launched." "What's the size of the fleet?" someone asked. 47 warships, small compared to the Empire. But they were built for one job: strike first, strike fast, and vanish before the enemy can hit back. The room went silent again. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "We can't win this with numbers. We win with surprise, with speed, with heart." She brought up another image, a tactical map of the Empire fleet. "If we hit their command ships first, we throw them into chaos. The rest of their fleet is structured around tight hierarchy. Take out the leaders, and their units will stall." "But if the Black Fleet fails?" asked May. Lyra looked her in the eye. "Then we fight to the last." But at least we fought. Far across the solar system, in the deep blue shadow of Neptune, a silent alert echoed through underground tunnels carved in ice. Inside massive steel hangars buried beneath Triton's surface, alarms began to flash. Pilots ran toward their ships, black armor glinting in red light. Technicians powered up engines. Artificial gravity shook the decks as magnetic cores came online. The Black Fleet was waking up. Commander Rios stood at the edge of a launch bay, helmet under his arm. His face was marked by years of training and waiting. He looked up as the massive hangar doors slid open, revealing the stars beyond. A message blinked on his wrist console. "Signal received from Obsidian. Stand by for orders. Countdown initiated." He smiled grimly. Finally, he whispered, "Showtime." Back on the Obsidian, Lyra stared out the window toward the dark line of the Empire's ships. They looked like a wall of death, towering vessels, armed to the teeth, dozens of them, unmoving, but pulsing with energy. They weren't bluffing. A junior officer approached her. "Captain, civilians are panicking. Cities across Earth are demanding answers." Lyra nodded. "Give them this. The Alliance is holding. No surrender. We are not alone." She knew it wasn't much, but sometimes a few words were enough to spark hope. She walked back to the center of the command deck. Her crew was silent, watching her. "Remember," she said, "we fight not because we want war. We fight because no one else will defend our freedom for us." Then she gave the final order: "Prepare to launch the Black Fleet." The sun rose slowly over Earth, casting golden light across the clouds. To people on the surface, it looked like any other morning. But in orbit, death waited in silence. The Terran Empire's fleet had arrived in full. Over 100 ships hovered in a perfect formation, shaped like a claw around the planet. Each ship was massive, dark gray, glowing with alien energy, bristling with weapons. They made no move yet, but their message was clear. Earth had one day left. On board the Obsidian, Captain Lyra Voss stood in front of a large display, her hands clasped behind her back. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. She watched every movement in space. "Status?" she asked. "Empire ships are still holding position," Ensign Rillo replied. "Scans show they're charging their main weapons. Slow and steady. No hails. Just pressure. They want us to break first," Lyra said. "But we won't." A beeping sound came from a nearby console. Lieutenant Haru turned to her. "New movement. 3 small enemy ships just broke off from the main fleet, heading toward Earth's defense line. They're testing us," Lyra said. "Let them." In Earth's upper orbit, 3 Tyran skirmish ships approached at high speed, sleek and deadly. Each was the size of a commercial airliner, armed with energy lances and plasma cannons. The Alliance launched 5 fighter-class interceptors in response. Small, fast, and lightly armed, they weren't built to go toe-to-toe with Empire tech. But they had one thing the Tyrans didn't: willpower. The battle lasted only minutes. Human fighters moved fast, ducking and weaving, launching precise attacks. One Tyran ship exploded after a direct missile hit to its reactor core. The second was damaged and forced to retreat. The third ship clipped a human fighter, destroying it, before being destroyed itself. On the Obsidian, the crew watched the final enemy ship burst into flame. Cheers broke out on the bridge, but Lyra raised her hand. "Save it. That was just their probe. The real storm is coming." A red icon appeared on the main screen. The Tyran flagship was moving. It was the largest ship in the fleet, twice the size of Earth's biggest station. The vessel's hull gleamed with golden marks of royalty, and inside, Overlord Cal Threx stood at the helm. He stared at a glowing map of Earth and its defenses. He smiled coldly. "They resist," he said to his bridge officers. "Good. Let us crush their hope properly." He gave the order: "All ships, prepare for total planetary siege." Back on Earth, cities began emergency procedures. Civilians were ordered into shelters. Military bases went to full alert. Earth's skies filled with defense drones and orbital cannons. The tension was rising fast. On the Obsidian, Lyra stood with her command staff. "It's time," she said. She walked to a secure terminal and placed her palm on the scanner. A green light flashed. A signal was sent, quiet, invisible, fast. Across the solar system, buried deep under Triton's ice, the message arrived. In the command chamber of the Black Fleet, Commander Rillos read the signal on his screen. "Go." Without a word, he slipped on his helmet. Around him, pilots climbed into their ships. The hangar doors opened, revealing the vast darkness of space. The Black Fleet launched. 47 ships, black as shadow, rose from Neptune's orbit and vanished into the stars. No engine trails, no noise, only silence, like ghosts. Their course, Earth. Meanwhile, the Empire's fleet began its full advance. Giant warships moved into attack position. Energy cores flared bright. Earth's orbital defenses opened fire. The first major battle had begun. The Obsidian led the human fleet, launching torpedoes and interceptors. Captain Haru called, "We're outnumbered 5-1. "I know," Lyra replied. "Keep fighting. Hold the line." Outside, explosions flashed like distant lightning. Human ships were fast and brave, but the Empire's forces were overwhelming. For every enemy ship taken down, 2 more pressed forward. Inside his flagship, Cal Threx watched with satisfaction. "Soon," he said, "Earth will kneel." Then something unexpected happened. Blips appeared on the edge of every Empire sensor screen. Small, faint signals, fast-moving, too fast. Cal frowned. "What is that?" No one answered. The first Black Fleet ship arrived like a streak of shadow. It fired a single rail blast that ripped through an Empire cruiser's engine. The cruiser exploded without warning. Then came the rest. In a coordinated wave, the Black Fleet uncloaked and attacked. Their movements were precise, their weapons silent and deadly. They hit command ships first, decapitating the Tyran chain of command. Confusion spread through the Empire ranks. "New vessels detected," shouted a Tyran officer. "Unknown origin. They're everywhere." Cal's expression darkened. Human trickery. On the Obsidian, Lyra saw the battle turn. She smiled. Let them feel what surprise tastes like. The Black Fleet had arrived. The Black Fleet struck like lightning. One moment the Empire's warships were advancing in perfect order, slowly pushing Earth's defenses back. The next, they were in chaos. Black ships, sleek and silent, dropped out of warp just beyond the Empire's flank. They didn't roar. They didn't flash. They simply appeared, like shadows pulled from the void. And then they attacked. Each Black Fleet ship was shaped for stealth and speed. Their hulls absorbed light. Their weapons made no sound, only sudden destruction. Plasma darts, rail cannons and kinetic missiles ripped through the outer edges of the Empire's fleet. Within seconds, 3 Empire destroyers exploded in bright, silent bursts. On the command bridge of the Obsidian, Captain Lyra Voss stood motionless, eyes locked on the battle map. Red enemy ships blinked rapidly as they were hit. The black icons, her fleet moved like a school of sharks around a bleeding whale. A cheer rose from the crew. "They're working," shouted Ensign Reel. "The Black Fleet is tearing through their rear." Lyra didn't smile, but her voice was steady. "Good. Keep our main fleet back. Let the Black Fleet thin them out." On board the Black Fleet flagship Phantom Blade, Commander Rios sat in the command chair, calm and focused. His voice echoed through the comm system. "Target only command ships and signal reels. We're not here to win a brawl. We're here to break their spine." His pilots responded with short, sharp confirmations. The fleet moved as one, coordinated like dancers in a deadly routine. Rios watched the battle unfold. Every time one of his ships fired, it hit something important. Every move was planned. There was no waste. They had trained for this. Overlord Cal Thrix watched his perfect formation fall apart. His officers shouted over one another. "New ships are not registering on sensors. We're losing contact with Central Command cruisers. Multiple capital ships destroyed. No visible attackers." Cal's hands gripped the edge of his throne-like command chair. His voice was low and cold. "Where did these ships come from?" No one answered. "Human deception," he growled. "Primitive, but clever." He turned to his weapons officer. "I want those ships gone. All of them, now." In Earth's lower orbit, the battle continued to rage. Alliance fighters, inspired by the Black Fleet's surprise arrival, fought harder. Orbital defense platforms locked onto weakened enemy ships and fired with deadly precision. Captain Lyra gave new orders. "Shift power to forward shields. Push their center now. The flank is broken. We go through." The Obsidian surged forward, leading a new wave of Earth ships. They pushed into the Empire's front line, targeting their largest cruisers. Explosions lit up the sky like falling stars. For the first time since the Empire had arrived, Earth was pushing back. On board the Phantom Blade, Rios received new intel. Enemy flagship located. His navigator said, "Heavily armored, but isolated. Their escorts are gone." Rios nodded. "Send 3 ships. I want their flagship disabled, not destroyed. The Overlord is mine." He turned toward his pilot. "Get me in close." Inside the Terran flagship, Cal stared at the broken remains of his once perfect fleet. The screen showed chaos. Red warning lights flashed across every console. Then the bridge shook violently. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. "We've been hit," shouted an officer. "Direct rail shot. Our engines are failing." Cal stood, his silver armor gleaming under emergency lights. "I'm not dying here," he said. "Prepare the escape pod." His guards opened a hidden panel in the wall. A dark tube led to a small reinforced pod. A way out, just in case. As his officers scrambled to cover him, Cal turned one last time to the screen. He saw Earth, small, blue, defiant. "This isn't over," he whispered. He stepped into the pod. The hatch sealed shut. A moment later, the pod launched into space, vanishing into the chaos of the battlefield. Back on the Obsidian, Lyra received the report. "Overlord Cal's flagship has been disabled," said Lieutenant Haru. "Our scanners show he escaped in a pod. Unknown location." Lyra exhaled slowly. "Track that pod." Quietly, then she looked out the window, where the Black Fleet moved like ghosts, still striking at enemy ships. "Commander Rios," she said into her con, "your timing was perfect." His voice came back, calm as ever. That's what we trained for, Captain. Lyra smiled for the first time in days. We might actually win this. By the end of the battle, over half of the Empire's fleet was destroyed or disabled. The rest began to retreat, breaking formation and warping out of orbit. The sky, once filled with the threat of fire and conquest, was now clearing. Humanity had survived its first true test, not by surrendering, not by hiding, but by striking back. The battlefield in orbit was no longer a place of control. It had become chaos, burning wreckage, drifting debris and broken ships spinning silently through space. The Terran Empire's proud armada was shattered. Their chain of command lay in ruins. And yet, Captain Lyra Voss knew the battle wasn't over. Not until she faced Overlord Kale Threx directly. She stood on the bridge of the Obsidian, watching the final movements of the Black Fleet as they pushed back the last clusters of enemy resistance. Reports came in from across the solar system, enemy ships retreating, some exploding under their own panicked escape maneuvers. Still, Lyra's eyes were fixed on one flashing signal on the map, a small escape pod, moving fast, heading toward deep space. "Is it him?" she asked. Lieutenant Haru nodded. "Confirmed. The pod matches Terran command-grade escape tech. It launched just before their flagship went dark." "Plot its course," Lyra said. "I want a clean projection." Haru tapped a few keys. A dotted line appeared on the screen, leading the pod away from Earth, toward the dark space between Mars and Jupiter. "He's not headed for his fleet," Haru said. "He's trying to disappear." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "He doesn't get to vanish." She turned to the comm station. "Open a direct channel to that pod. Secure line. Override his filters." "But Captain..." "Do it." A moment later, the signal connected. The screen in front of her flickered, then cleared. Kale Threx's face appeared, dimly lit inside the pod. His eyes narrowed, clearly recognizing her. "So," he said slowly, voice cold. "You again." Lyra kept her tone steady. "You're running." "I am surviving," Kale replied. "Something your kind seems overly proud of doing, like insects hiding under rocks." "You lost," Lyra said. "Your fleet is broken. Earth stands free." Kale chuckled darkly. "This battle means nothing in the scale of the Empire. You destroyed a few ships. You surprised us. But we will return. And when we do, your precious planet will burn." Lyra leaned closer. "Then we'll fight again. And again. You may be larger, richer, older, but we have something you never will." Kale raised an eyebrow. "And what is that? Courage? Unity? Honor?" "No," Lyra said. "A future." The screen went dark. Kale had cut the connection. On the Phantom Blade, Commander Reyes listened in silence as Lyra relayed the final words of their conversation. "I should have destroyed his pod," she admitted quietly. "But I wanted him to hear us say no. I wanted him to feel what it means when Earth fights back." Reyes nodded. He felt it. Then he looked over the tactical screen. "Most of the Empire's remaining ships have gone to warp. The rest are being mopped up. We won't see them again for a while." "Good," Lyra said. "But keep watch. We can't relax now. We showed our hand. Next time, they'll come prepared." Later that night, Lyra walked alone through the quiet halls of the Obsidian. The battle was won, but the cost was written on every screen, every report. Thousands dead, ships lost, cities shaken. She paused in front of the memorial wall, a screen listing the names of those killed in action. It updated in real time, glowing softly in the dim corridor. Her eyes scanned the list, and her heart sank when she saw names she knew. Young pilots, brave engineers, friends. This wasn't just a victory, it was a sacrifice. She placed her hand gently on the glass. "We didn't give up," she whispered. "We didn't kneel." Across Earth, news of the battle spread fast. People cheered in the streets. Families cried and embraced. Buildings lit up with the colors of the United Human Alliance. For the first time in years, the entire planet had faced a threat and had stood together. In the outer colonies, people raised the Alliance banner high. On Mars, children painted black fleet ships in the sand. On Europa, A single message was broadcast across the colony walls. "We are not alone. We are not weak." The next day, the Black Fleet returned to Neptune's orbit, cloaked and silent. They would wait there again, hidden in the cold, ready for whatever came next. On board the Obsidian, Lyra spoke to the Alliance Council once more. "The Empire will come again," she said. "But now they know. We won't go quietly, and we're not afraid." The Council nodded. The war wasn't over, but Earth had changed. It had grown stronger, united, ready. The sky above Earth was clear. No enemy ships, no smoke, no fire. Only the stars remained, quiet and distant. For the first time in days, the people of Earth looked up and felt something new: relief. The Tyran Empire had come to conquer. They had come with threats, with power, with overwhelming force. But they had not expected what they found. A planet that refused to surrender. A fleet built in silence. A people united. On board the Obsidian, Captain Lyra Voss stood before the main window on the command deck. The curve of Earth stretched out below her, blue, green, and alive. "Status?" she asked. Lieutenant Haru answered, "Enemy ships are gone. Final scans confirm retreat vectors, heading beyond the solar system. We've cleaned up the debris fields. No active threats remain. And the Black Fleet returned to deep orbit around Neptune, stealthed, hidden, ready." Lyra nodded. "Good." Later she stood in a chamber filled with quiet, a memorial hall. All across the Alliance, these halls had been built overnight, rooms where people could read the names of those who had fought and fallen. Lyra stared at the long wall before her. Thousands of names glowed softly in the dim light. Pilots, engineers, commanders, civilians, each one had paid a price for freedom. She touched one name gently with her fingers. Commander Nyla Chen, her first officer aboard Obsidian, a close friend. Killed when a Tyran missile struck their power core during the early assault. Lyra closed her eyes. "You didn't run," she whispered. "None of you did." Down on Earth, the United Human Alliance held a worldwide broadcast, the largest ever made. From domes on Mars to undersea colonies on Europa, from city towers in New Tokyo to the floating towns over the Pacific, people gathered around screens. Lyra Voss appeared, calm, firm, wearing her dark captain's uniform. She spoke simply. "People of Earth, people of the colonies, we stood at the edge of destruction. The Empire demanded our surrender, but we said no." She paused, letting her words land. "We fought, we endured, we united, and we won." Crowds cheered. In homes, people clapped and cried. Children waved hand-drawn flags. The message was heard far beyond Earth. At a listening post near Pluto, Alliance engineers picked up a faint transmission from deep space. It wasn't from the Empire. It came from a nearby star system, one under Tyran rule. "This is the Dran resistance. We heard your broadcast. Earth, you give us hope." The message repeated once, then faded into static. The technician stared at the screen, then rushed to send the signal to command. Hope was spreading. In the days that followed, life on Earth began to rebuild. Cities cleared wreckage. Memorials were held. Families reunited. Every classroom, every screen, every newscast reminded the world what had been done, not just by captains and soldiers, but by engineers, by farmers, by scientists, by everyone. People now believed something they had once forgotten. Humanity was stronger than it seemed. On Neptune's icy moon Triton, the Black Fleet remained silent, hidden, ready, no longer a myth. They were now Earth's shadow guardians. Inside the Obsidian, Lyra stood with Commander Rios beside the hangar bay. "You sure you won't stay?" she asked. Rios shook his head with a faint smile. "I belong out there, in the dark, watching the stars." She nodded. "We'll be watching too." They shook hands. No more words were needed. That night Lyra returned to her quarters. She opened the small window beside her desk and looked out. The stars blinked gently, peaceful, distant, endless. She knew the Empire wasn't gone, not forever, but Earth had earned something more important than safety. It had earned respect. It had earned the right to choose its own path. She whispered softly to herself, "Let them come again, we'll be ready." And then she turned away from the stars. There was work to do.